So Queensland is also open to applicants offshore, so let's talk about the requirements. For the 190 visa, you need to score a minimum of 75 points, and for the 491 visa, you just need to have a minimum of 65 points. There's a separate occupation list for offshore applicants, so you'll need to check that occupation list. You need to score at least competent English or even higher depending on your occupation. On the occupation list, you'll be able to see whether it's available for the 190 visa or the 491 visa. And you'll also see the number of years of post-qualification work experience required for the occupation. You must remain employed in your occupation at the time that you are invited as well. So check out the QSOL list and the occupations that are available on there, and you'll see there how many years of work experience that's actually required post-qualification. In the next video, I'll talk about the requirements of graduates for Queensland University. Okay guys, Queensland have released their requirements, which is really surprising because they're usually the last to release their requirements. You know it's serious when I pull out the green screen. So let me do a very broad overview of the requirements for a skilled visa applicant in Queensland. I'll do a separate video if you're a graduate of Queensland because those requirements are pretty good as well. So first of all, I want to say the requirements are actually easier than last year. For the 190 visa, you need to have at least 75 points or 70 points for trade. So if you remember last year, it actually required 80 points. 491, you just need to have 65 points or higher. They're accepting applications for any occupation as long as it's on the federal occupation list. Now for the 190 visa, you must be working for at least 30 hours per week in your nominated occupation for at least 3 months before you apply. As for the 491, you must be working for at least 30 hours per week in your nominated occupation, but there's no minimum time frame to apply. Then you must provide evidence of ongoing full-time employment, minimum 30 hours per week, if you're applying for the 190 visa. And then for the 491 visa, you must provide evidence of ongoing employment for the next 6 months. And they've made the commitment part really clear here. So for the 190, you must be committed to living in Queensland for 2 years. And for the 491, you must be committed to living in Queensland for 3 years. Now for certain occupations, there are caveats. So for example, accountants, you must be working in an accounting firm or medium or larger size businesses, which again is still better than last year. And then for example, here for cooks and chefs, no takeaway or fast food businesses. This is so great. It looks like the other states should be releasing their requirements soon too. Fingers crossed. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but there's been some changes made to the 485 visa under the graduate work stream. It's important to note that this is the graduate work stream. This is different to the post-study work stream. The graduate work stream is for people who studied a trade qualification or completed a diploma qualification which resulted in an occupation on the medium-term skills list. If you remember, during COVID, these visas were granted for 24 months. However, that's all changed now and gone back to what it used to be. So these visas will only be granted for 18 months now, if you lodged after the 2nd of September 2023. Now, this is not applicable for people who studied a bachelor degree or higher. You need to be looking at the 485 visa under the post-study work stream unless you held a student visa in Australia since 2011. Oh, and under the graduate work stream, to be eligible to apply, you must have applied for a provisional skills assessment. Now, these requirements are not new. They were just removed during the COVID period. However, now that COVID's over, it looks like they're going back to what it used to be. Oh, and the cost has now increased to $1,895. Some big changes coming up for student visa applications in Australia, and this is to stop people from using loopholes and rorting the education system. So first of all, effective immediately, the government will no longer allow concurrent COEs. So one student visa holder cannot hold more than one certificate of enrollment at a time. This is a loophole that people are using to increase their chances of getting a student visa to Australia by enrolling in a more prestigious and expensive school. When they come to Australia, they get another COE for a cheaper school and possibly maybe even lower level. So for example, they previously enrolled in an MBA, but they came to Australia then enrolled into a trade course. This allows them to maintain their current student visa without having to make any changes, but they get to study a cheaper course and then work more, which is not what the student visa is for. It's for genuine students to come to Australia to study. So the government has cracked down on that, and that is no longer allowed. Second of all, as of the 1st of October 2023, students will need to show a minimum of $24,505 in savings to apply for a student visa. Now, I know a lot of people are probably showing more than that to meet the genuine temporary entrant requirement, but that will be the minimum amount from now on, and that's a 17% increase from previously. So Western Australia actually had an invitation round already on the 31st of August. They invited 302 people for the 190 visa under Schedule 2, and they invited 150 people under the higher education graduate stream and 35 people under the vocational education graduate stream. So if you go on the website and scroll down, you'll be able to see that they invited people who lived in Western Australia, and the minimum points cutoff was 75 points. For the first invitation round, that's pretty good. Almost 500 people were invited already. So remember, for Western Australia, they're definitely prioritising people with occupations in the building and construction industry. And if you have an occupation that's eligible under Schedule 2, you can apply for the 190 visa. You don't need to have a job offer. There still are other priority sectors, and if you do have a job offer, you'll also have a very high chance of being invited.